Hello everyone. Sorry I'm late, I know. 24 minutes late, exactly. Well, it's been a while since I've streamed on my channel, so forgive me if I have any technical difficulties during the stream. I most probably will. I can see there are some people who are on. If you could drop a message in the chat, say hi, and let me know if the music is okay, not too loud, not too quiet. If you can hear me well as well. Hello. Hi. Chat, maybe? Awesome, thank you. Hello, Layla. Hi. Hello, hello. Some more people jumping on. Yeah. Give me a second. I'm just gonna save the banner. Which I just slapped together 5 minutes before the stream. Don't do that. Plan out the things that you want to do. Don't be like me. Just a few things happened over the weekend, so I was reviewing your guys' work yesterday and today, and I got through it, but there were some people who sent through 2 artworks, and I reviewed one of them, and I was thinking if I have time, I'll just come back to the second one and I'll review it live, meaning that I'll do feedback as I go. So for most of you, I pre-made the feedback in like separate Photoshop files, which we're gonna go through now. For those who don't know, I announced that I'm gonna be doing a feedback stream, and the chat is not working. Never mind. And people sent through their art, which we're gonna be reviewing now. And I'm gonna start with the first person who sent through their artwork. I didn't catch their name. I believe that's their feedback, Houdini Jr. If you're here, let me know. Otherwise, if they're not here, they can just review the feedback after the stream is done. The music is a little loud. It will depend on the track that I'm playing. For instance, it just switched to a different track, so let me know if it's too loud. I toned it down a bit. So, this was the original artwork that was sent to me by D Jr. And wow, that's a really cool artwork. I had a little read on their Instagram page. I think they said it was based off a dream that they had, like all of these animals and stuff. And I took it a few steps further to make it look even better, make it pop. So what I did was, the first thing that bothered me when I looked at it was it was like cropped in the square, is I changed the formatting and I extended it vertically just to give this sculpture space to breathe. Originally it was more like crammed into the square and it was a bit distracting because your eyes need areas of rest in the artwork. There should be some just dead space in the background for your eyes to relax. So how would I do this? Let's just roll back to the first layer. So I extended it vertically and a bit horizontally. Second thing that I did was I changed the lighting on the wings of this panther creature. So the lighting is great the way you have it set up, but you could make it look better. So right now you have this. Let me quickly grab a layer with purple color so I don't just sit around and talk. So you have this huge space that immediately attracts attention to it because of how much light it has hitting it, which can be a good thing because you really want to show off all the sculpting details that you've done. I get it. But lighting your pieces is a bit of a balance between showing it all off and at the same time telling a story. Okay. The music's still a bit loud. Sorry. Oh, sorry for that. I think I turned down my voice instead of turning down the music. How about now? It should be better. That's a bit odd, considering that I always stream with this setup on ZBrush's channel, and usually music isn't that bad. Anyway, so you've got the space, right? And the wings are beautiful, but they have too much light on them. So what I did is I put them in shadow. And I promise it's gonna look better when I turn the background black. Yeah. So I got rid of the background. It was also a little bit distracting with all the colors fighting for attention. I've got the brown background, brown orangish ground, and a brown sculpture itself. So in order to create this separation between foreground and background, I just selected your piece, did a bit of masking, and voila, separated it. Then I added the shadow that I talked about. Played around with saturation values. Yeah, I toned down the saturation. And the next thing I did was I chose, like, I masked out the tree that the whole piece is based upon. I believe it's a tree. There were a few angles that you sent through. Is the music again too loud? Because I can hear it very well in my headphones over here. Let me guys know. So I masked the tree and I worked on the saturation of it and the values of it some more. So with levels I just made it darker, I think, than it used to be, which creates this nice contrast and makes you focus more on the lady, the deer, and the panther. Okay, moving on. I added some reflections at the bottom just to make the composition more interesting. And there are plenty of tutorials on YouTube you can Google just on how to create the reflection effect in Photoshop. That was pretty easy. Then some hue and saturation for them as well. Now I added sort of like a soft spotlight on the background. Obviously it's fake, I just drew it in Photoshop. You can do it either in Blender or wherever you were rendering your piece out of, maybe Maya, or you can just totally render the whole thing out again without any background and paint it in Photoshop. Then I brought some saturation back in. And then the next note that I had was on the skirt. It seems like it was a space that you spent not so much time on, as opposed to like comparing it to the wings of the panther and all of those folds. It could use some love. And I just found some references online and I slapped it on like so. So you'll hear it a lot from me during this stream. References are key. Whenever I start a new project, I create a new PureRef file. For those who don't know, PureRef is a free software for creating reference boards. And I just pull all the references that I need for this idea that I have. Some marble sculptures could be a good reference for you. Yeah, and I very roughly painted like the bottom of the skirt in Photoshop. I'm not a 2D artist, so forgive me for my 2D skills. I tried to do my best. Yeah, and then one more thing I did was I scaled down the arrows because they were sticking out for me in terms of the scale. They're just a bit too big. They're almost the size of a deer's body. So turn it down. I also created this negative space to separate the branch that is stretching out in the back from the wing. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with the idea of negative space, it's basically if you were to take your artwork and fill it all black against a white background, what kind of shape, what kind of silhouette would it create. And it's a very powerful tool. When it comes to like creating strong compositions and strong art pieces, is how well does your silhouette read. And for you, I found some references. Let's go through them really quick. So there are some sculptures, as I said, some drapery. I think it's made out of clay. It might not be actual drapery, it might be like a sculpture of it. And this is the main reference that I used for the skirt. Some more sculptures. And the folds are very hard to get right, but when you do get them right, it can look so good, especially in the material that you've chosen, which is sort of like the stone. Yeah, it can pay off a lot in the end if you just spend a little bit more time on the skirt and all the folds on it. This was my main reference in terms of like style that I was trying to recreate. So you can see there's reflections on the bottom, there's that soft spotlight in the back, and very strong rim light around it that you already had in your scene. This artist's name is Jelong Shu. I might be mispronouncing it. So yeah, he's got really cool artworks when it comes to like just fantasy creature sculpting. You might have seen him, he's quite popular in what he does. Yeah, definitely check him out. Then the other artist I would recommend looking into is Maria Panfilova. She's got some really cool sculptural pieces as well. And the third one is Akinori Takaki. Really cool sculpture as well. What was this? Okay. This was before, and this is after. You can see how differently the piece reads. It's just, I feel like by isolating it from the background a bit more, it stands stronger. Cool artwork. Yeah, it is. And that owl, I'll show you guys all the angles, those who haven't seen. There are some close-ups as well. I love this owl. It's so cool. I wish I could give you more feedback, but I roughly spent an hour on each artwork that I've reviewed, and I couldn't push it any further, so I hope this really helps, or helps a little. That looks so good. The difference is huge. Thank you. And I'm sure you can apply all of this feedback in a matter of hours, to be honest. Maybe not the clothing. You'll need some, maybe like an evening of sculpting on that. You can also consider doing maybe some marvelous designer work on it, or simulate clothing in Blender if that's possible. but the lighting itself, it's just a matter of playing around with layers in Photoshop and seeing what works for you. Okay. So we're done here. Second one. Second one is actually... Sorry, I'm just a bit confused with the names. It was you, Alper, right? So, really cool artwork. There wasn't much I could do to it to make it better because I loved it so much. It was just great. I love Daryl. Those who haven't seen or don't know where this character is from, he's from The Walking Dead, the show about zombies. He's literally my favorite character. So, it's a really cool style that you've chosen. Oh no. It just said that OBS disconnected. Am I still live? Interesting. If you guys could let me know. Yeah, I know. Okay. Cool. Weird. Anyway. The art style is great. Let's just make the environment fit with the art style a bit better. Let me switch it off. Yeah. So, so I started with this one. One thing that I changed on the model of Daryl is I brought his crotch a bit lower. It was a bit too high up. And if anyone, Derek is the character who's got balls in the show, so, you know, gotta bring it a bit down. The next one, I wasn't quite sold on in the way that I sort of did it in Photoshop, but basically I wanted to get away from this realistic cracked road look and go more towards this sort of stuff. Which I like stylized rocks for games. There are some textures with displacement maps that you could use, just like seamless ones, or you can paint it yourself if you want to, whichever way works for you. I just tried to imitate it here. This was the reference for the grass. Currently it's quite thin and fluffy, which can work for a miniature. If you were going for the miniature look, then that's okay. Again, I'm just giving you my subjective feedback. So I tried to do it in Photoshop again, not a 2D artist. So I ended up with something like this. Some shadows over there. Oh, the next thing I did was I added a bit of depth of field into the artwork. Again, totally up to you. I just felt like it needed it because it pushes this idea of it being a miniature, kind of like a toy. But it totally doesn't have to be. What was this one? Yeah, I lightened the road a bit and darkened the shadows. Next thing, added a few more clumps in the front. And that was it. Mostly focused on the environment. I might have painted over some stuff as well. Like in the background you'll see here, I pushed the width of some of the panels a bit more just because of the stylization that I was going for in my head. Usually in cartoons like Pixar and should be drawing. Oh yeah. Pixar and Disney, they will create, like they will look at the real life objects and then they will skew them and will make them look more sort of chubby, I guess. That's sort of what I did here as well. It just brings it more in line with the character that you've created. The reference, as I showed, was mainly for the ground. Yep, that was before, that's after. The road will look prettier when it's done out of 3D, not out of 2D. But yeah. That's a really cool Easter egg, Alexandria Zone. But I think people who watch the show and they take a quick glimpse at it and they instantly will realize that it's, oh, that's Daryl, because you made him look quite recognizable. Thank you, Layla. The environment should be more stylized, yes. Hey! I hope this helps. Cool stuff. I'll show it. You had Bihan's page? I'm still not sure how to pronounce it. Everyone pronounces it differently. Really cute. I love the wings in the back. Oh, there's even a turntable for the cycle. And very clean modeling, really good. You said that you wanted to apply for like video game companies in your country, in your city. I think you definitely should. Good stuff. Does not fit the character. No, it could. Like, there are some like, you know, there's a hobby to create realistic miniatures. So it could have been like a toy model of a character with a realistic miniature environment. Could have been that. I'm just giving you ideas on how you make it look. You can make it look more cohesive, I guess. Okay, next one. Next one was blood. So, Vlad said his artwork in the chat and Telegram. Eh. So many folders. So if we click between them, you'll see what I did for the wide, because they've sent the wide and the close-up. Right now I'll focus on the wide a bit more. So if I click between them, whoop, you'll see what I mean. There was also a character concept sent through. A really cool character. He's a librarian, lover of reading, always gets messed up by 2 naughty cats. Interesting. Yeah, really cute concept. I used it to check the proportions against the sculpt, and they seem to check out for the most part. A few things that I changed were I scaled up her head quite a bit. You can see it's quite big in the concept. I also rounded out the silhouette of the skirt. You can see it on the concept as well. Maybe it doesn't go as curvy as it does on my paint over, but in here you can kind of see that it doesn't go as a straight line. Then the next thing I did, let's actually go layer by layer, will be easier for me. Where is her head? Okay. So I added her some knees. Felt like they were missing a bit. Although it will really depend on the profile view. Might have been just the shader, but I felt like adding them. Make them look more defined. Then also on this layer, I tried to illustrate the thickness that the artist tried to convey in their 2D concept art. So you can see that most of the details, like the belts and stuff, all of those decorations on her skirt, they have a certain thickness to them, but if you maintain and you do it right, it can look very cool stylistically, because we're going for more of a stylized look for this character. So yeah. Yeah, so I adjusted her thumbs a little bit. The socks were a bit, they were sticking too much to her ankles. And again, to improve the silhouette, that negative space that I talked about, I pushed them outwards a bit. Then, the way that layer suggests, I worked on her chest area a bit, just getting rid of any lumps that might have been created during the sculpt process. And I did the same thing for the gloves as I did for the socks. So they stick out a bit more. Creates a more interesting silhouette this way. And the next one was the skirt. Overall, she seems like a very bubbly, clumsy character. So having any straight lines in the model kind of go against design, the original design that the 2D concept artist went for. There's a whole theory about like what kind of angles we use in the models, and how they will convey different message to the viewer. So usually if you have character consisting out of triangles and squares and just like very sharp edges, it will create this, it will kind of put a seed into your head that this character may be evil or may have some bad intentions. Whereas characters with softer, rounder shapes, so mostly consisting out of ovals and spheres, will tend to be main characters. Pardon my partner passing through. So yeah, here's some geeky stuff about character concept art. Next thing I did, I added some folds above the belt. And the reason why I did that, it was because they were on the concept. You can kind of see them there. It'd be nice to have them. Although, totally up to you. And I made some of the details on the bottom of the skirt stick out a bit more. I've also repainted like the collar piece. It's a bit bigger and more defined. You currently have it as one mesh going kind of wavy. I would make it as 4 separate meshes and maybe then connect them together, or just you can have it as one mesh as well. Just make sure that the folds are very defined. Okay. And the next note I had was about straightening her legs a little bit. Kind of work facing this way. Usually it's the kind of note you'll get from a rigger. You'll model it like this and they'll be like, oh no, straighten it out. So yeah, these are the changes that I made for the wide. Right now we'll go through the close-up as well, because I changed her face quite a bit. Here's a reference for the folds, by the way. I believe it's a character from Fortnite. So these sort of very clean, sharp folds will work really well on the character. And you can see that thickness thing that I was talking about. They're very consistent with the thickness that they're using for all of the props. All of them. Okay, onto the close-up of the face. So this was your sculpt before any of my paintovers, and she is a really cute character. You've done an amazing job. She is already hella cute, but we can make her even cuter. So. Oops. Where's her neck? Oh. Oh. Okay. So I've repainted the color thing again, just to make it look tidier. Then some of the folds again in here, I made them more stylized. And the thickness that I talked about. Thicker on these ruffles and thicker on these lines on her corset. Then I also triangulated her puff sleeves as it was on the concept and made the hair bands a bit thicker. Also, I gave her some fuller cheeks because she is currently quite skinny. Rounding off her cheeks a little bit could help with the appeal of the character. Trying to find a layer where I've painted her face. Perhaps I did it all in one layer. Let's zoom in and I'll show you what I mean. So, on the concept, again, she has ears that stick out quite a bit, like so. And you had them quite flat. Well, they are sticking out, but you can exaggerate it even more because it's stylization. Also, I lowered them down and turned them towards the camera. The next thing I did was I scaled down her nose, maybe like by 10%, to make it look more like a button. And I lifted the nose bridge part of the glasses, not sure what they're called. I lifted it up. Also made the hat a bit bigger. And that was it. I hope this helps. She's a really cute character. I'd like to see the final result. Just one more thing before we finish with this one. As I was talking about the appeal of the stylized characters. Whenever you're translating a concept or making a character out of your head, try to think of any curves that you create. Say these curves or these curves. So instead of having it like this, push it even further and have it like this. Also, sort of about balance, of not having everything even, but having some parts be exaggerated, some parts not so much. So the contrast between shapes is interesting. The absence of contrast is boring. That's why you will sometimes look at an artwork and you can't quite tell, but it's very captivating and you like it and save it for later, maybe like on ArtStation or Instagram. But you can't quite tell what is it about it that makes it look so good. It might be the shape language. Cool. So, before I move on to the next one, I'll show off the stuff that the person has done, Vlad has done. So that was the close-up, that was the back. Really tidy hair, like all of your modeling is super tidy. Is that it? No. Really good stuff. If any of you guys would like to have these Photoshop files sent to you, let me know in the chat or in Telegram or Instagram, and I'll send them to you. Louis is next. I think that's the original artwork. And here's the concept. Yay! Okay, let's get started. So, really cute caricature. I had a look at all of the turns that you've sent, but I mainly focused on the front, just because overall it's 90% there, 95% there. There could just be a few more steps that you could take to push it even further. So let's go for that. So as you can see, I lowered her ears a little bit to be more in line with the concept art. And disregard this, I'll fix it in a second. The next thing I did, I brought her mouth and nose a little bit up. Kind of like a rule of thumb with stylized characters that are kids, like kids stylized characters, is having all of the facial features kind of like pinched in the middle. This sort of like all in the small area in the middle of the face, and then the rest is just cheeks and forehead. Huge foreheads and huge cheeks is usually like a trademark of kid characters. I'm trying to like pinch it all in. And then the crotch, second crotch on the stream, it feels like it's falling in a bit too deep, although it might be the lighting. But I would like to push it a bit further, just a few brush strokes with like a cloth brush. I believe I also made the cuts a bit more evident. I'm pretty sure you have them. They just don't read as well from the front view. And it just makes it look cooler. Okay, next one. Next one, I pushed the sides, like the temples, a bit inwards. Because right now you have sort of this shape of the head going on. Okay. Yeah, you kind of get what I mean. And we're trying to create more of a straight one. Basically getting rid of the curve. Next one was the collar. So this area bothered me a bit, just because of how it sort of it doesn't collide with the neck. It just kind of goes through it, or so it seems. I would create a bit of space between them. Also, I would make the color a bit sharper to be more in line with the concept art. Obviously, your sculpt is an interpretation of the concept art. It does not have to be a one-to-one copy. but I would still make it a bit sharper, and I would add a bit of space between the neck and the collar, because right now it feels like she's being almost suffocated by it. Next one was a big one, and it's the biggest change I made, and you'll see why in a second. I measured the size of her eyes and I made them a tiny bit smaller, and I changed the shape of them. So I just brought them in slightly. And I got rid of the reflections that you had and painted one dead in the center of the eye, which creates this illusion that she's looking at us instead of just... She's still looking at us this way, but it makes her gaze a bit stronger when you have this highlight in the middle. And you'll see in almost all of my characters on ArtStation, I put this fake light right behind the camera, and I select in the lighting sort of like menu that you have in Maya to only illuminate the eyes with that extra light that I add, just so it doesn't mess with my model. I'm pretty sure you can do it out of Blender as well, or out of 3ds Max, all those software. I'm not sure what you used, but that's what I would do. And I also simplified her eyelashes. It's my personal choice. The ones that you have are also very cute. For me, it was just easier to paint, and it makes it look a bit simpler. What was the other one? Oh yeah. I also painted the nose bridge a bit wider, as you'll see. So right now it's more like pinched, and I want to like straighten it a bit and flatten it. I also got rid of some highlights on the mesh. It's specifically evident when you go to like the turns that you've sent. Like on this one, you'll see that you have a very, very reflective material on her eyes, but it creates these unwanted highlights, so I would just kill it completely. I would make her eyes not have any reflectivity to them. It's a 2D and 3D mix, right? So you can create your own rules. Your eyes don't have to be reflective. Just kill this reflection in the right eye. And I would do the same for the cheeks, but it's my personal preference. Like, right now I have more of a reflective material on the skin. I would tone it down a bit. Yeah, and that was it. These were the references. That was before, that's after. I love the way that you did her hair. It's so neat, so tidy. Well, yeah, I like the eyes more your way, Shirley. Thank you. Yeah, I'll hope you'll take something out of it. Also, by shifting the ears down and the mouth and the nose a bit up, it almost feels like she's looking up a bit, whereas yours looks a bit down, and on the concept she looks a bit up. So yeah. A cool ref for you, if you haven't seen it. Maybe you have. This guy, Dmitro Danilov. He's making characters similar to yours. Also really cute style. So he's using a material that is less reflective on the skin. That's what I was talking about. doesn't have a shine to it, which I think works a little bit better with the 2D art style. That's the guy I used for the paint over, yay! Good stuff. Yeah, he's got really cool characters. And that was it. That was my take on it. But I didn't know how to get the skin lines like this. So wait again, what material is the line I used for the skin? No light at all. What material is the one I used for the skin? No light at all. No, there should be light. The roughness should be a bit lower. Maybe don't set it all the way to 1. But right now you have a reflectivity that is closer to like a porcelain doll. Or maybe like plastic. I would set it a bit lower so it has more of a vinyl look to it, like a matte vinyl look. Oh, I wonder if I have anything to show. I have some figurines here, but the camera might not pick up. So this sort of material, obviously it has some reflectivity to it, but it's not as intense. And with the light, what I meant is just for the eye. Because I'm not sure if the eyes are a separate geo or a separate texture. I would just set the roughness to 0 on them so they don't get these reflections. I would say the roughness to 1, the glossiness would be to 0. Sorry. Yeah, but overall it's such a cute artwork. Keep on doing what you're doing. Very clean stuff. And that's pretty much the style that I like to work in. They're really, really good. I should probably bring it up. Give me a second. Here it is. So cute. Those lines could be curves if you ever wanted to make them 3D. You don't say in which software you've rendered it out of. A lot of people nowadays use Blender. I don't use Blender, but I'm sure there's a way to just create curves floating around. And then there are ways to assign shaders to them as well. And even there are ways to make them taper. Oh, marmoset. Then curves might not be the way to go. Then it can be cards. You can just create curves and then extrude a card alongside of a curve and then just paint a line on top of it, and they will just float in space. And it's pretty easy fix for marmoset. Thank you, thanks for the feedback. You're welcome. Okay, moving on. You also sent the second artwork. I unfortunately didn't have time to do both of them. We'll see how I feel towards the end of the stream. But we're 1 hour in, so we'll see. We'll see. Can't make any promises. Okay. Oh wait, there's this one as well. Yeah. So this one came first, so I'm gonna focus on that for now. Oof, that was a good one. That was a good one. So originally you sent through the artwork like this, which is really good stuff. I can see it's a work in progress. Hasn't been finished yet. No, don't worry, I'm very happy with this one already. You're welcome. So, really cool stuff. Here's a concept, guys. Look at this character. If I saw it, I would be like, damn, I'm making it. Yeah, really cool character. I brought it in for, again, checking the proportions, but they seem to check out. You can kind of like see. In terms of like shoulders and the head, like everything is very proportional, so good job there. So yeah, let's get into it. So you'll see her eyes disappear for a second. Let's bring them back. So I added the feathers. I know it's a work in progress, but it was the one thing that really stood out to me was these feathers that she has. They're quite curvy and quite prominent. So I just made sure to include those. And the eyes. I'll show you what I mean by the eyes. So I changed the shape of them a little bit. Let me add some more layers and then we'll come back to it. Here. Sorry, it's not the best quality, but that's what I've been sent. So I would add a bit of a curve to the neck. Right now it's more like sticking into her jawline, and I would smooth it out a little bit. And the next one is this pad. It was slightly small, so I enlarged it. Okay, next one is a nose bridge. Similar to yours, I made it a bit wider. And then added some eyeshadow under her eyes. For guys who model girls, I would give an advice to just watch some makeup tutorials. That can be very helpful to understand how to paint makeup in ZBrush. And then I also highlighted her cheekbones a little bit more, as they seem to have been a bit too sunken in. Yeah. And then added that highlight that I talked about. And here I would spend more time on finessing all the drapery that you've done. I can see that you have used Marvelous for the skirt, and it's great. So you can either go down the same route for all the drapery that you have, and she's got a lot of it. She's got so many belts and all of this cool stuff, and a bow here, and then sort of a kimono style shirt that I found good reference for, and I'm gonna share it with you in a second. Let's say focus on the drapery a little bit more. Here are the references. So she is an archer, I believe, on the concept. like a Japanese style archer. I assume she's Japanese because of the Oni mask and giant red circle behind her, and just ethnicity of the character and all the attributes and stuff like that. So here's a kimono. The artist even interpreted this protector thing on the front. Is this armor piece? I'm not sure what it's used for in archery. If you guys know, you can let me know in the comments. I mean, in the chat. But yeah, right now you don't have it in your sculpt. It's just one solid piece, but as I assume it is a work in progress, you'll add it later on. You can do it out of Marvelous or you can do it out of ZBrush. Either way. Again, if you would like, I can send you the Photoshop file so you can go through all the feedback by yourself in your own pace. And yeah. Here's a really good sculpt that I found of a kimono as well. Maybe it's not a kimono, just a traditional Eastern outfit. Would work very well for the color. Okay. What else is there? Oh yeah, just some more drapery to get inspired by. Okay, so with that we are done. Let's just click between them. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, I adjusted her face quite a bit. It might be a big jump, but if you compare it to the concept itself, it fits a bit better. I made her neck quite a bit narrower, as well as the jawline. I made it narrower as well. Even though it's quite a realistic concept art and you can go for a fully realistic character, I do believe there is a level of stylization to it. So right now your model looks quite realistic, and mine can look a bit funny when you compare the two. But it is more in line with the concept. If you see, if you take a look at like the corners of the jaw and stuff like that. I also tapered her eyebrows and changed the shape of the eyelashes to go into more of a curve like this. I also lifted the corners of her nose a little bit and made the corners of like the lower eyelid a bit sharper. I think that's all I did for this one. Really good stuff. I'd really like to see it done. Yeah, the neck was a big one. Like, it was a bit too wide. A bit more realistic perhaps, but yeah. And this is it. I don't think the person who made it is in the chat. Their name is Moad. They also sent through a second artwork, but I chose to work on this one. Maybe for the next one I will do the other character. I can show it to you while I'm here. Let me quickly download it. Here it is. And here's the concept. I told you there was a concept and then I didn't show it. Here is the concept. Come on. Again, really cute stuff. We'll see if I have time to break it down. If not, then just the next time. Okay, and this was sent by... This was not the original artwork. Alright. So, this was the original artwork sent by Rasta on Instagram. I was running out of time, so unfortunately I only did the face of the male, but I think I'm gonna do the head of the little guy on stream. So let's do that. I'm just gonna set my phone on not disturb so I can focus on the last artwork. I think I might have forgotten to mention, yeah, this one. Just in the way that you sculpt the eyelids, because I think the character was meant to be Japanese. It's nice to find some good reference of just Japanese women, maybe like some busts. I'm not saying this is Japanese woman, just saying it's nice reference for the eyelid folds, because they're quite different and they will vary from person to person. So I think I painted them a little bit, yeah, just to make them stand out a bit more. Okay, on this one, so it's a really heartfelt piece. I love it. It's really cute. I'm assuming it's a father and son. There are a few ways we can improve it, and that is by improving anatomy. There are a few things that are a bit skewed in this one. It looks a bit funny, but I'll explain it. So I tried to paint it, paint his eyes, but then I'm not a 2D artist, so I just used like a 3D sculpt that I overlaid on top. So he needs a stronger brow bone. That's what it's called. Protruding a bit forwards. Right now, it's sort of like the whole area is very, very flat. I mean, it does kind of protrude, but it's in a bit of a sharp angle, and we would like some more meat in there. You know what I mean? Ooh. Then I sunken his eyes a bit deeper than they currently are there. They're very close to the nose, and I would sink them in a bit deeper. The ear could use a bit more love. Currently it's just a blobby shape. I can make out some of the shapes of the ear, but it could use just a little bit more love and finesse to make it more anatomically correct. The ear reference, I would use this art account called Anatomy for Sculptors. Some of you might know them. They're really good. They post anatomy tips almost like every week. And I'm sure they're gonna have one for the ear. Yep, here it is. So it sort of really helps because they break it down in terms of like simple shapes. You don't need to remember all of these names in order to be able to sculpt it. Okay, his nose. I wanted to have a more defined nostril. I like, again, being pushed deeper into the skull. Also, it was really hard to tell what was going on there because of harsh shadows you have. Maybe don't make shadows this harsh, just because of, how would I explain it? There is a use for harsh shadows in like cinematography and just artworks in general. They can create very dramatic atmosphere and stuff. But here, I don't feel like you were going for a dramatic atmosphere. So anything like this is just makes it harder to appreciate the work that you've done. Just because I can't see anything where there are very dark spots. And same for the lips. I would move them, rather than inwards, I would move them downwards. Right now, she's got a really pulled up mouth. And if we were to make it more anatomically correct, I would move it down a little bit. Yeah. I think the other thing I did, his jawline was going towards his neck. And it's not the way our jawlines work or necks work, so I moved it in and more towards the ear area than towards the neck area. I also rotated his ear as well. They usually follow the angle that our jawlines create naturally. So for you, that would be this way. Oh, also I didn't make, but I overlaid an image on top with the brow. There wasn't a defined brow in the sculpt, so it looks browless a bit. So maybe I would define it a bit more. And I also erased some of your neck and again tilted it. And he needs bigger shoulders, but I didn't paint it in. He needs bigger shoulders. Ah. Okay, for the baby. see what kind of references I can find. Now there's a good one. Also an anatomy for sculptors. Ah. It might be a bit too young because he looks like a newborn, and this to me looks more of a toddler age. Okay. I was just checking. No, with the boy or the girl, really depends. There would be some anatomical fixes I would do as well. One of them being is his ear is way too low. How about maybe we'll try to content aware fill stuff. That'll just be the neck area. Let's see. I found some good ones. So the first thing you can notice is how deeply set the eyes are and the jawline. You can see that it's getting better. Bit by bit. Yeah, this cheek. It usually will appear when we smile. But right now the kid isn't smiling. So it actually wouldn't be as prominent. Wonder if we can make him smile. Maybe not. I don't feel very confident in my 2D skills. Also, not sure what this was supposed to be. Perhaps it was a nose bridge instead of the frown area. So I would make it a bit lighter. Right now it is very prominent and a bit distracting. Also, the boy could use some eyebrows as well as his dad. Although it's up to you. And let's move his chin outwards a little bit as well. And the same note as I mentioned before, if you could avoid harsh shadows, that would be ideal. Let's compare. Obviously their eye lines don't meet as well as, well, actually they never actually met. The boy was looking towards his dad's chin and the parent looks downwards, so it doesn't really matter. And the boy's neck should end about here. Which would mean that we need to push his skull a little bit. Let's do some liquefy action. Okay, with that, I think we're done. There are a few more things that you could improve upon, but if you were to take into account the notes that I made, it will look the artwork. It will make. Ugh, what am I saying? It will help the artwork and potentially make it look better. I'm still here listening, but somebody in the neighborhood lost their dog, and I'm helping them find her. Oh, that's nice of you. And thank you for sticking around. I thought I was talking to myself. Because, most of the guys left. Which I don't mind. I know that people who have missed the stream will be rewatching, so I'm waiting for them. Good luck finding the dog. I would be heartbroken if I lost my dog. That I don't have yet, but I will, eventually. This is it, guys. A bit tired. It's been an hour and 50 minutes. However, I'll see you all tomorrow. If you are around at that time, I will stream on ZBrush channel at 6:30 a.m. Pacific time. It might be your Sunday midday-ish if you're in the US. Otherwise, you can just check zbrushlive.com for the calendar to find out the correct time. And we'll be working on Zelda, that I've improved upon quite a bit ever since the last stream. Thank you very much, Layla, for your time, effort, and feedback. It was a beautiful stream. Thank you. Thank you. I had a lot of fun. Just feedbacking, and it actually helps me as well see what kind of mistakes I make. Because all the mistakes that I've highlighted today I've made in the past at some point, and I still do. So it's a good repetition and a good reminder for me. So yeah, anyway, thank you guys for sticking around. I'll probably do another feedback round sometime in the future. It is a lot of work, but I'm really happy to help. And yeah, thank you guys so much. Have a beautiful rest of the day. Bye bye.